let me welcome publisher, journalist, and advocate Mark Benschop. Morning to you, Mark. How are you?
Hi, yes. Good morning. Good morning, Rennie. Good morning to your listeners as well.
It is good to have you here, and thank you for taking the time. I trust that your weather up there is not too cold this morning. Mark, are you hearing me?
There are lots of music in the background. So
I see. So
your background, that is. So I'm not hearing you clearly.
All right, let me speak up just a bit louder for you, Mark, and a bit closer. The 53-year-old former President Jack Deo led the Cooperative Republic of Guyana from 11th August 1999 to December 2011. His detention and questioning and release raised many questions about abuse of public funds, public trust, alleged political payback, and justice. It also comes days after the public security minister threatened criminal charges against former government officials. Give us the 411, the best clarity you can on this situation, the background, and why he was detained.
Yes, I don't know if you're okay. I think there's some sort of music in the background, your background there. I'm not sure if you're hearing it.
All right, I am hearing.
It has affected me from.
All right, I'll tell you what I'll do, Mark.
I think there's a technical something at your end.
Let me hang this up just for a moment and try to hit you on another line and see if I get a clearer picture for you. Okay?
Thank you,
Mark. I'm going to hang up right now, and I am going to redial that number. And hopefully, by doing that, I can get a better hook on my guest, Mark Benschop, who is in New York City. He is the publisher of the Guyana Observer, as I mentioned. All right, so we will try to get Mark. In the meantime, let me just continue with what we are looking at here in Guyana. As I mentioned, also question with the general manager of the Guyana Gold Board and daughter of former President Donald Ramata. Also, we had the former president of the Public Sector Commission arrested. Also, we had the former secretary of the NICIL arrested. So a whole lot of folks were taken down here. The president of the Cooperative Republic, President Jack Deo, has declared that the actions being deployed by the security force, which is the Guyana Special Organized Crime Unit, Mr. Jack Deo is making the case that they are now become political actions carried out by this entity. Let me see if I get back Mark Benschop on the phone. Mark, good morning.
Hi, yes, good morning.
Is this a whole lot better?
Oh, yes, 100% better.
All right, so our listeners basically found what we were talking about. They are now on the same line with you and understanding what we're dealing with, the president being arrested, etc., etc. Lay for us the backdrop of this. Give us the whole picture, the 411, as you would say, as to what is involved here, which is Pradoville 2 and the taking in for questioning of the president.
Well, and thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you. Good morning to your listeners as well. Basically, what has happened many years ago, let's say like about 10 to 12 years ago, the then president, they started a housing scheme in Guyana, of course, just for ministers and government officials and their close relatives, in what is known as Pradoville 2. I'm sorry, Pradoville 1, which the president had his house built, and in less than 5 years after, it was said that he never occupied that house in Pradoville 1. He sold it to a big business executive in Trinidad and Tobago. And then questions started to surround as to whether he paid the taxes and so forth and so on, and how much he got for that property from that big executive in Trinidad. Less than a year after, the president started another major housing scheme. This time it's called Pradoville 2. And this started in 2010, where then President Jack Deo decided that he's going to sell piece of land to close cabinet members and also close friends of his. So what he did, he apportioned to himself 2 acres of that land. And he valued it at 1.5 million Guyana dollars. That's equivalent to about $7,000 per acre. After which he also decided that he's going to give the director of public prosecution a piece of land. He also decided that he's going to give the then Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force a piece of land. Then he decided he's going to give ministers of the government, some ministers of the government, a piece of land.
Let us just be very clear, Mark, when you use the word give, you mean give. No money was exchanged whatsoever.
Well, compared to what the ordinary folks have to pay,
good enough. All right. Okay.
In Guyana, what we say, it's a giveaway, because when you're going to pay for an acre of land, 5,000 Guyana dollars, I'm sorry, 5,000 US dollars, it's equivalent to a giveaway.
Yes, without question, anywhere in the world. But I just wanted to be sure that our listeners understand when we use the term give, there was some transaction, even if it was $1. But yes. Okay, but please go ahead, yes.
And so people eyebrows started to raise, because ordinary folks had to pay $1.5 million for a piece of land, $2.5 million for a piece of land in swamp areas. And what the then president did was they have decided to use taxpayers' monies to develop this estate, this plantation, as we call it, Pradoville 2, the president's plantation. Taxpayers' money was used to do all of the infrastructures, build the roads, clean the swamps, drain the swamps, did every single thing. Whereas if an ordinary citizen pays $1.5 million Guyana dollars for a piece of land, it is in a swampy area. And as we say in Guyana, you're on your own. That's it. You gotta wait years before that is developed.
You purchase as is. So let's be clear that I'm following you very clearly here. What is being alleged is that the former president and opposition leader, Barack Jagdeo, got this way below market value. He purchased this ridiculously low, is being alleged, went on to build on Prado 1, a huge mansion that he sold to a Trinidadian. All this information, by the way, is this coming out of a report, a commission that was authorized by the government?
In fact, this is known knowledge. In fact, the executive out there in Trinidad, and he's a well-known executive, a well-known marketing executive, bought the property, and this is nothing. There's no illegality in what the executive did at all.
I see.
What people started to question was the president building that house, a huge house in Pradoville 1, and in less than 5 years, he sold it. Again, there's no question mark over the executive buying that property at all.
Gotcha. All I want to be sure is that I wanted to be clear of is that what we are repeating here is something that came out of a commission of inquiry of some investigation that came out and said these are the facts as we see it from the state. Or is this the word on the street? That's what I'm trying to find out.
It is not just the word on the street. Good. It's a fact that's being laid out. These are facts that the former president, who is now opposition leader, has admitted to, and he is basically saying that he has done nothing wrong. And then that is the controversial issue at this point in time, because he paid, for example, a remigrant, someone from the U.S. or Canada or wherever, heading back to Guyana, wanting to purchase a piece of land, they have to pay $1,111 per square foot, whereas then President Jagdeo, spent $114 per square foot, and that is the difference. The ordinary folks have to pay 100 times more for a piece of a square foot of land, whereas the president and his close associates paid just 114 Guyana dollars, which is just under 60 cents US per square foot.
Journalist and advocate Mark Benschop, who is also the publisher of the Guyana Observer, is my guest. We're looking at the situation in Guyana. Mark, the president has declared that the actions being deployed by the Special Organized Crime Unit will go down in history as one of the greatest acts of injustices in Guyana. He said this is all politically motivated. Is there any truth to that?
Well, of course anybody would expect an opposition leader saying that any action, whether court or whether investigations or whatever, being brought against him or his members of his party, of course they're going to want to say, look, we're being victimized. This is political victimization. Of course they're going to say that in order to say to their supporters that, look, this is what they're doing to us. When in fact the evidence is quite clear. all the organized crime unit is saying is that we believe then that a wrong has been done and we want answers. Nothing is wrong with that. It's saying, look, we are seeking answers. Talk to us. $100 million, and I repeat, 100 million Guyana dollars. It sounds like a heck of a lot of money for some folks, but it's equivalent to over 500,000 US dollars was spent to remove a television, what you call an antenna.
A tower.
A television antenna. Right? Now, come on. Ordinary folks are asking, how are you going to spend 100 million Guyana dollars to remove a television antenna? And then apart from that, the bill just keeps going up and up. They're skullduggeries. And people are saying, we want answers. And now the organized crime unit is saying that, come in, talk to us. When they asked for the president and his those who occupy that piece of land.
Mark, I'm sorry, I lost you.
Yep.
I'm sorry, please go ahead, my friend.
Yep, so all the organized crime unit is saying, we need to talk to you guys. We need some answers. That's all. What is political victimization? When we're looking for answers, when hundreds of acres of land was actually given away to the friends and cronies of the former president, all they're asking for is answers. So is that political victimization?
Right.
Of course he's going to want to see it as that, but in reality it's not.
We're discussing the former president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, President Barack Jagdeo, being taken in by the police in Guyana and asked questions. Was he arrested? Was he detained? Was he asked to come in? Did he invite them to meet him at a special place and then proceed to police headquarters? This has to do with a whole, what we call it, optics. The optics involved with this. What happened there?
Well, from what I've been reading and my understanding of what transpired is that the organized crime unit actually asked for them to go in for question. The former Attorney General, Anil Nandalal, said that the president, neither anyone is going to be going into Suku headquarters for any questioning. If they want to question, reach them at the party's headquarters. And Suku said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to come and get you guys if you don't want to come. And that's exactly what happened. Now, I'm not sure that it's accurate to say that the former president was actually arrested. He was invited, and he voluntarily went into the office. Of course, it's optics again. He's going to want to make it look as though he was actually arrested, when in fact he wasn't arrested. He walked in there voluntarily to give a statement. After he gave a statement, he decided to just make this all-out political and gain some political mileage out of it. But to answer your question, was he actually legally arrested? I'm not sure that he was.
He was detained, he was questioned and released, is the information we have. There's another aspect to this. Mark Benschop, we are speaking to, is the publisher of the Guyana Observer. We're talking about the former president who was detained, questioned, and released. The former president, Mr. Jagdeo, said that the investigation by the Special Organized Crime Unit violates his constitutional immunity guarantee. Tell me about that.
Oh, well, of course he's going to want to inject that and to say that he has immunity. And it is something that has been questionable over the years, the amount of powers that the president or presidents have in Guyana, executive power. It simply means that they cannot be charged with a crime during their term in office or even after. And that has become questionable. All of the opposition leaders, before they became president, said that they are going to change that aspect of the Constitution, and all of them just said that.
So it is in the Constitution, Mark Benschop, that the president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana cannot be charged with a crime while in or out of office, because if you say they said they're going to change it, it means it must be there.
Oh, it is still there, yes, and Jagdeo is well, the opposition leader Jagdeo is well aware of that.
So constitutionally he is correct.
All of the presidents have benefited from that, so including this current president, President Granger, is going to benefit from that.
So this
and the
inquiry
argument now is that, okay, but he has re-entered politics. then the goalposts should not be the same because Mr. Bara Jagdeo has re-entered politics. He is now the opposition leader. He is now campaigning all over the country and outside of the country as well. And the fact that he has become politically active again, his immunity should be stripped. I think that is the legal argument right now.
Mark Benschop, you're a journalist, you're an advocate, and I know you can't have your cake and eat it at the same time. If the Constitution says the man cannot be charged in or out of office, whether he re-enters politics or not, he cannot be charged. Anyway, we will find out what the...
No, like I said, that is, and I agree with you, but like I said, that is the argument right now. I don't know how much water that's going to hold, but that's just the argument.
The situation with the former president looking to re-enter the office of the presidency, he said he will once again run. What is the consensus on the ground? What is the general feeling of Guyanese with him getting back in the race? I mean, is there support? Because right now the present government of Guyana is an amalgam of parties, and he's looking now to step in. One would have thought that there would be enough erosion of his support in all these splinter parties that would not give him a chance. What are his chances now?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say that it's an amalgam of parties by name, and that's it, not by support or by membership. It's just a name. Nevertheless, the two major parties are the People's National Congress and the Alliance for Change. The other parties are just basically parties by names. That's it. Not by support, not by membership, not by anything. Anyways, having said that, on the ground, it depends on who you speak with. They are going to say, well, like the PPP supporters, Jagdeo supporters most of them are going to say that, yes, they are in support of him running for a third term. Then there are the other side, and the other side, 99% of the other side are saying, look, you have already had 2 terms in office. Why do you want a third term? I mean, there are so many things that you have done, and not only 2 terms, he has had an extra 2 years of that term. So in essence, instead of spending 10 years as president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, he spent 12 years. And now he wants another term. People are saying that, look, we weren't too comfortable with your 12 years in office. So many things happen. And we're not going to get into these so many things that happened, the controversial things that happened under his presidency. And here it is now again, you want to run for a third term? The courts have ruled, and of course the Chief Justice, the then Chief Justice, Ian Chang, ruled in favor of the president. Of course, the Chief Justice is said to have had a close relationship with the president, professional relationship.
But let me cross you right there, Mark, because Vladimir Putin did the same thing. He decided, I'm going to do 2 terms. I'll put one man inside of there as my caretaker president, and then I'll run again. Does the Constitution say you cannot run for 3 terms, or you cannot run for 3 consecutive terms, or you cannot serve 2 consecutive terms and then come back? What specifically does it say?
My understanding of what the Constitution is saying is that once you have served 2 terms, that's it. It doesn't specify anything about take a rest and then come again later. It doesn't. But I believe that has been one of the arguments made by his lawyers in the Court of Appeals. However, it is clear in the Constitution that it says 2 terms and that's it. Now, Jagdeo the opposition leader Jagdeo has maintained that he is not interested. I mean, of course, it's the same thing Putin was saying. However, the Court of Appeals, the acting chancellor, before he demitted office a month ago, he decided to stay on to make that final ruling. Two members of the Court of Appeals were about to retire. They have delayed their retirement just for that ruling.
The good thing
Court
about
of Appeals is made up of three justices, and of the 3, the 2 who have since retired voted in favor of Bara Jagdeo's 3rd term in office. And so what the government has done this time, they have decided to appeal the matter, and it's set to go to the CCJ. I don't know when that when that case is going to come up in the CCJ. I'm looking
at 5 minutes that I have. That CCJ issue is an issue we have to discuss at another time. But Guyana has accepted the CCJ as the final court of Appeal. That's the Caribbean Court of Justice, and is going to see how they rule on that. Two quick things, Mark. With the 5 minutes I have, I want to go down. In Trinidad, we call it grand charge. In in the United States and other parts of the world, they call it a good faith effort. I don't know what's the name in Guyana. Is this Mama Guy? Is this a big showing by the government, or are we going to see something come of the questioning of the president and the number of other people with him who were taken in for questioning with this land deal? Is it the feeling of Guyanese that yes, there will be some resolution, there will be some justice, or is this just another grand charge Mama Guy public optics situation?
Well, I am too familiar with the term Mama Guy. I'm too familiar with that, and I'd want to even extend that to Guyana, and to say that this current situation with regards to the president and Praderville number 2, I would suggest that it's just Mama Guying. It's brainwashing the ordinary folks into making them believe that something is going to come out of this. Because since the change of government, a lot of folks on the ground, again, it depends on whom you speak with, are calling for Jack Deere and his former ministers to be jailed for crimes, whether stealing money allegedly from the treasury, whether it's the 400 plus men that were slaughtered, whether it was their affiliation with death squads and these sort of things. People are asking questions, and the government, in the minds of a lot of folks, and I'm part of that too, feel that they aren't doing much to bring to justice some of these former officials under the Jack Deere administration to justice.
You're speaking
of... So to pick on this piece of land issue here, to go back to what you asked, whether it's Mama Guying, I would say it's probably more than just Mama Guying, because my expectation is very low. I don't think much is going to come out of this, and so I just call it, in Guyanese term, I call it a commercial break.
A commercial? I just want to be sure I got the Guyanese name for it. Okay, that's interesting. Mark Benschop, I want to say this. In full disclosure, it was under President Barack Jack Deere that you were imprisoned. Am I correct?
Oh yes, that is correct, and it's basically for speaking out against the many atrocities. And as you would know, and maybe some of your listeners, is that they have fabricated a treason charge against me, which culminated in me spending a little over 5 years in solitary confinement. So
5 years that we from New York City lobbied very hard to have you out of. All right, we're going to see how that plays out, but in my 4 minutes, I need to get to the oil find, because Guyana just discovered a whole lot of oil that had Trinidad wondering, we're no longer going to be the go-to guys down here. Haiti's got a discovery that's coming on stream. Venezuela is looking at that find in Guyana and suddenly said, wait a minute, you can't drill in that area because that's disputed territory. And according to the terms of an agreement we have on disputed territory, nobody's allowed to drill there. So my question is, the find, is it a blessing for Guyana or rearing the head of a century-old battle for territorial ownership?
Well, whatever natural resources is discovered in a particular country, it's always there's always the appearance of a blessing. And so, since we have heard the news of the discovery of oil in that region, in that part of Essequibo, which is close to Venezuela, Guyanese are feeling a sense of optimism that yes, we have oil. This can be of a relief for us. But in the end, I don't know. We don't know what the deal is. We don't know how much the Guyanese people are going to be getting. We don't know what year this is going to take off. And of course, the politicians are going to want to play into it to say, we have oil now. We found oil now. And automatically, this is a blessing for us. It becomes a blessing for us when we start drilling, when we start getting the oil out, when we start shipping barrels upon barrels of oil out of the country, and we start to see that blessings. As of now, it appears that Venezuela, and I'll use that term again, just wants to mama guy the entire situation. Every single time there's a talk about some sort of discovery of oil or whatever, Venezuela steps in. They have stepped in again. It is going to become controversial. The matter is going to be taken to the UN. I am not certain how long this is going to take before, as you said, we see this as a blessing. I will remain optimistic, though, that at some point in time, maybe during my lifetime or your lifetime, we are going to hear or see that millions upon millions of barrels of oil is being exported out of Guyana.
Just
but
again,
for now, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Just to take a chuckle as we say farewell, I need to thank you for saying in your lifetime first and mine secondly.
Well, thank you. But now that it is a blessing, you guys have oil as well. And we Guyanese and the Trinidadians, we have our little way of different ways of saying things. I would see it now as a blessing when my Trinidadian friends look at me and say, all yeah. Because we have oil, so oil, yeah. Oil, yeah.
Thank you. Make that an oil down and leave it alone. Mark Benschop, my brother, thank you. Thank you so much. He's the publisher of the Guyanese Observer. We were talking about the former president, 53-year-old President Barack Jagdeo, and a number of members of the opposition party being detained by the police over there, which is exactly the Special Organized Crime Unit. The president is saying, I've got immunity. You can't touch me. Folks are differing on their opinion on that. We will see how that works out, and I'll be in touch with you again, Mark. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with me this Sunday morning, okay?
And thank you so much. Thanks to all of your listeners. And next time, hopefully, we are going to touch on the assassination of a political activist under the PPP regime. And, of course, a senior member then of the government, the then PPP government, his name is being called. So hopefully we'll talk about that some other time.
I got you, my friend. I sort of kept it narrow this morning, but I know where you're going with that. Mark Benschop, to be continued. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.